Hey guys, welcome back to God Wars Dungeon 2 videos. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to kill the magic-based boss, who is Helwyr, Saren's wolf general. So this is a really easy fight, debatably the easiest of all the God Wars Dungeon 2 bosses. So I would recommend, if you haven't done much God Wars Dungeon 2 yet, you probably want to start off with this boss, or the boss that I've already made a guide on, Vindicta, as they're very easy to learn, and their drops are worth a decent amount as well, especially the rare drops being the crest and also the tier 85 wand for Helwyr. So it's a really easy fight to last the entire hour that the instance will last if using melee and the vampirism scrimshaw, which is the setup that I'll be showing you guys today, and it's also a lot of fun, so I'd recommend to check it out. Alright, let's get into the gear setup and start explaining how to kill Helwyr. So these are the gear setups that I'd recommend. I'll go over the differences between the void setup and also the armor setup and what are the pros and cons of each. First of all, on the left is the best setup. Well, not quite, but almost. The Tetsu can be upgraded to tier 80 power armor due to financial constraints, though I am stuck with the Tetsu right now, but that can be upgraded. The rest of the outfit, though, for the most part, is really good at Helwyr. I'd recommend using the Noxious Scythe. If you can't afford the Scythe, drygores are going to work almost as well. The Scythe is a little bit better, and I'll explain why in a second, but for the most part, either tier 90 melee is going to just wreck Helwyr and be really effective. You can also use for an aura either Invigorate or Brawlers. Brawlers is nice because accuracy is required at Helwyr and can help. And also the ever important Scrimshaw Vampirism is going to help you last very easily. If you don't have a Scrimshaw Vampirism, you can still kill Helwyr and bring a Nile, but it's going to require more input and more effort on your part, and also the kills will take a little bit longer, so it's just easier to use the Vampirism Scrimshaw. As far as the Void setup goes, Helwyr's auto attacks do not hit very hard, meaning that you can bring Void here if you would like, and that accuracy bonus is going to help, as tier 90 weapons, overloads, and terminal alone are not enough accuracy to hit 100% of the time. But with the Void, just keep in mind you will take some more damage, so you might want to go with the armor setup for your first time there just to get used to the boss, but then in the future you can bring Void, and you should be able to heal back all the damage you're taking with that Vampirism Scrimshaw. For the inventory, I'd recommend just copying what I have. Again, we're using the Blood Nile because the extra accuracy is really nice. Desert Amulet 4 is just for teleporting there. If you don't have that, then you can swap out some heart teleport tabs. They can buy off the GE that will teleport you to the dungeon. And Hanging Excalibur and a few emergency food are nice because of the mushrooms. There are going to be times where you'll be taking a lot of damage, but those times should be few and far between, so a few food is fine. A shield is important if you want to get heals from resonance, and also just 8 prayer flasks will be enough to last an hour, so that's the number that you should bring. As far as getting to God Wars Dungeon 2 and getting the kill count required to enter into the boss fight, first of all, I like to start off at Narda Bank. You can start off at any bank and use the heart teleport tabs I mentioned earlier to get to the dungeon. I like Narda though because there's a bank right there, and there's also an altar right there to restore your prayer and all that. So it can be a really nice starting point for trips into the God Wars dungeon. Now, the area of Saren is in the southeast, and you just want to kill any of the Saren dudes. So there's Majors, Rangers, Wolves, and I think Meleeers as well. All Saren, they just look like the Elves and Prifddinas. And kill a lot of these dudes until you have 40, and then you can go ahead and enter into the Saren boss fight room and begin your combat with Helwyr. Okay, one of the reasons why Helwyr is such an easy boss to fight is because his attacks are very predictable. So for the first kill that I'm going to be showing here, we'll go over what his special attacks are and what they do. First of all is what I like to call the nature attack, where he'll spawn 3 mushrooms. He always starts off a kill by doing this special. Second is the one he's most famous for probably, and this is the bleed attack. He lunges at you and does high melee damage around 3,000. Also inflicts a bleed on you of 50 that you can clear by using the ability Freedom. You just run to his side and you will avoid that completely. Third is the frenzy attack, and for this one you can either use devotion and you won't take any melee damage from it, or you can use debilitate and tank it, or you can run away and let him do his frenzy and then come back. Finally, he does this wolf spawn thing where he spawns 2 wolves to attack you. The only annoyance with these 2 wolves, which can be cleared very easily using area of effect abilities such as Hurricane or Quake with your scythe, is that they can make it difficult to resonance if you're relying on your shield for healing, and therefore you should kill them as soon as possible if you are wanting to get a heal with your shield, and they are in the area because they can mess it up. However, a few kills after starting the instance, it's usually about 5 kills, Helwyr will stop spawning the wolves and he'll only use these 3 main attacks over and over, so you won't have to worry about them for very long. The reason why Helwyr is so predictable with his abilities is in between each of his special attacks, he will use 3 auto attacks. The animation just looks like he's biting you. So if you want, you can count down how long it is until the next bleed or until the next frenzy just by counting his auto attacks, and then you're ready for it and you're not caught off guard. As far as dealing damage to him goes, the best time to use the Berserk ability so you can really get him down as fast as possible is right after he uses his Frenzy attack. So what you want to do is build up your adrenaline until he frenzies, and then when he's almost done, use that Berserk, and then you can just tear into him and get the fight over very quickly. Alright, let's break down the attacks individually. The nature attack, which is the one that he always starts every kill off with doing, can be quite dangerous if he spawns these mushrooms right on top of you. They do rapid damage of about 200 to 250, and also if you stand in them for too long, they will stun you, preventing you from moving for a couple of seconds. And also you can't run when you're in the green clouds, you can only walk, making it difficult to dodge Helwyr if he was to do something like his bleed attack on you. The attack that Helwyr will use the most often, but really is not that intimidating, is the bleed attack. Now for this one, you can just dodge it by running to either side. Remember, counting 3 auto attacks between specials so you can tell when the next bleed attack is going to happen. Or if you're finding yourself in need of some life points, you can switch to a shield, turn off protect from melee, and resonance that hit. And that is some good healing, especially if you're not using vampirism scrimshaw and trying to conserve food. I would recommend to resonance the bleeds as much as possible. Getting the timing down can be a little bit tricky, but I'd recommend learning it because if you're struggling on food, this can really prolong your trips. The last of Helwyr's main special attacks, and by far the most dangerous one, is his Frenzy attack, where he will hit you 6 times in rapid succession with hard-hitting melee hits around 1,500 damage each. Now, there's a couple ways to deal with this. First of all, the easiest way is just by praying melee and then turning on devotion, and he won't do any direct melee damage to you, but he will still build up the bleeds. Alternatively, if you're doing fine on food, you can debilitate and just tank the hits. They'll be relatively minor with debilitate and also protect from melee up, only about 500 damage each, so those can't be too hard to deal with. And finally, you can just run away and let him get it out of his system. He will also build up some bleed damage during this time, which will be 250 bleed damage normally, or 375 if you're already under the effects of his previous bleed attack. To deal with the bleeds, what you want to do is wait till he's completely done with his frenzy so you don't get any more buildup. Use freedom and the bleeds will be gone and you can go back to fighting. So I figured I'd show you guys Helwyr's attack cycle just because it is a little bit, very slightly more complex than the other God Wars Dungeon 2 bosses. When you start a kill, he's always going to do his nature attack, then his bleed attack, then his frenzy attack, and then his wolf spawn, which he only does for a few kills. After usually about 5 kills in a new instance, Helwyr will realize that his wolf buddies are pathetic and he'll give up on them and he'll just decide, hey, I'm going to do another bleed instead. So from that point onwards in the instance, his attack cycle is always going to be nature attack, bleed attack, frenzy, and another bleed, and then he'll start over. Alright, you guys should know the mechanics of Helwyr fairly well by now, so final things to mention is this boss fight doesn't do a whole lot of damage with its auto attacks, so one thing that you can consider doing is just not using the Vampirism Scrimshaw, and if you're not going to do that, you can rely on healing from the Enhanced Excalibur and also from resonancing the bleed attacks. So I'd recommend to get the timing down on those resonances before you try not using Vampirism Scrimshaw, but it is very possible to last here an entire hour with just a few pieces of food without even using the Scrimshaw, and that can save you some money, so if you want to do that, go for it. Also, as far as doing damage to the boss, just make sure that you save your Berserk ability until after one of the frenzies, then you have plenty of time to get off all your thresholds without being hindered by Helwyr himself. Also, if you get proficient with the boss, you're wearing decent armor like Tetsu or Augmented Torva or the other tier 80 melee gear, then you can consider just tanking those Let Me Bleed attacks because they really don't hit that hard. The bleed is fairly negligible, and you should be able to heal back all the damage, extra damage that you're taking just by using that Vampirism Scrimshaw. So if you want to kill him slightly faster and not have to bother with like learning how to dodge or attempting to dodge, that's another thing to consider. But just make sure you practice Helwyr a little bit before you just decide to go on full tank mode and just ignore his special attacks. But that is one way to do the fight as well. So do enough Helwyr and you will eventually luck out. This is a drop that I managed to get myself, a Crest of Saren. It's worth really good money right now, so getting that drop is awesome when it happens. And I think the crests are still around 25 mil. I have no idea how much the wand is worth, but it should be worth a decent amount as well because it seems like most people are just killing the Furies or Vindicta. Not a whole lot of people are killing this boss. Also, this is a loot from 1 hour, so this is what you can expect to generally about an hourly rate. I do around 25 to 28 kills per hour, so that's about the profit that you can expect every hour that you spend at Helwyr. So pretty good money, even if you are spending money on like augmented armor and weapons, which are very expensive, you're still going to be making most of that just in profit. And one last thing before we go, I wanted to give a quick shout out to someone that uploaded a Helwyr guide. His name is Brobon, and me, like many of you, I spent the first couple of days after God Wars Dungeon 2 release looking on YouTube and Twitch for people who knew how to kill the bosses, because I didn't really want to go into the boss fights completely blind, and not finding a whole lot of luck as far as guides for God Wars Dungeon 2 bosses on YouTube. But this guy uploaded a really good, really in-depth, and really well done Helwyr guide just a couple days after release. So I wanted to say I appreciate it a lot. Helped me out quite a bit learning how to kill Helwyr, learning the mechanics so I could make my own video how to show you guys. So just to show my appreciation, make sure to check that out if you're interested at all in the drygore setup, because I know I didn't showcase the drygores specifically. He does show that in his video, so I'd recommend giving that one a look as well if you want any more help with how to fight this boss. So I'll have that one linked in the description if you want to check it out. Anyway, that's all for me in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been having a lot of fun at this Helwyr boss. Hopefully you guys will too, and you'll have good luck with crests and wands and make quite a bit of money. I'll be back in a few days with the next God Wars Dungeon 2 boss video or something RuneScape content related. So until then, have a good one and farewell.